Good afternoon, grade nines. I hope you can get to see my screen. Somebody just confirm with me if you can see the screen.
We can see it, Mr. Mariti. Thank you.
Thank you so much. My name is Mariti. We are presenting lesson 31 for the grade nines, and the focus for this lesson is dealing with area of 2D shapes, what we normally call polygons. We need to understand what polygons are. A polygon should be understood in this context, grade nines, as any flat shape formed by at least 3 straight lines that are connected. In other words, if you were to have 3 lines, they must first be connected to make a shape. You can still have more than 3, then you have 5, 6, and so on. But that type of a shape is called a 2-dimensional shape, and the area of such shapes is the focus of this lesson. A polygon does not have curved lines. It's important that the lines making up a polygon must all be straight lines. Furthermore, you are not restricted. The minimum number of sides for a polygon would be 3, as indicated earlier. Let's quickly look at the examples and try to go through these examples so that we have the same understanding of what we are dealing with. Now, here we're looking at polygons. The first type of a polygon would be a triangle. This is basically a 3-sided. As you can see, we are having, in this instance, 3 sides that make up the polygon called triangle. This would be the first side, the second side, and the third side. The next type would be what we call quadrilaterals. And they are 4-sided. And I want you to understand, grade nines, that even though our focus for this lesson will be looking at the quadrilaterals, there are more than just the 2 that are reflected. For today, we are looking at the area of the rectangles and the area of squares. However, we have more than just the rectangle and the square. You have a rhombus, you have a parallelogram, you have a trapezium, and so on and so forth. But for the purposes of this lesson, please understand that I've just lost my screen. We are having only these 2 that we are going to be focusing on. The next type of a polygon will be pentagons, but we are not interested in pentagons at this stage. All that we are interested in would be the quadrilaterals. The last type, the second last type would be hexagons. These are 6-sided. The octagons should be 8-sided. We just mentioned this for the sake of just knowing. Furthermore, also understand that your pentagon, the hexagon is reflected, and the octagon. These are typical regular types of polygons where the shape has got this particular, it's a beautiful shape. It can be irregular, but that's not the concern for this lesson. Our concern will be the quadrilaterals. Now, what is the area? The area of a 2D shape should be understood to be the space or the surface that a shape in question covers. So if you're taking a paper, the area of the surface that is covered by that paper, that would be the area. So in this case, we're looking at the rectangles and squares, and of importance, just remember, because they fall under the category of quadrilaterals, these are all four-sided and there are four vertices. Also very important to deal when dealing with area is the units that we use when measuring area. These are referred to as square units. It may be square centimeters, it may be square meters, or it may be square kilometers, whatever case may be. But whenever you're talking about area of importance, remember, in your answer, you should be saying square units, whatever units those are. By so doing, we are in keeping with the SI units, which is just the acronym for the International System of Units. So that internationally or globally, we all understand when you write cm what it means, when you write m what it means, when you write km, we know it means a kilometer. But for these purposes, this is how we read them. Cm squared is square centimeters or centimeters squared. M squared is read as square meters or meters squared. And then km squared read as square kilometers or kilometers squared. These are just practical examples that we are faced with on a daily life. When tiling a floor, you need the area because the area will tell you the number or amount of tiles that will be required to cover the whole surface. In the same breath, then you get to calculate the costs, because once you know what one tile costs and how many tiles you need, then you can calculate how much it's going to cost to buy enough tiles to cover or to tile the floor. In the same way, when painting a wall, you will need paint, but you need to know how big the area or the surface to be painted is. That will be the area. Now, when you buy your paint, it will tell you this container can cover so many square units. Then you can do your calculations. Or I need so many tins or so many liters of this paint so that I can cover this wall or the walls of this room. In the same way, then you are enabled to calculate the cost. The same reasoning you can use in the gardens when you're planting vegetables. You need to know how big the garden is going to be and how many seeds or seedlings you're going to require so that you are sorted. A quick reminder of the conversion rates, because sometimes when calculating area, you may be giving units of the one side of the polygon in meters and the other in centimeters. Both measurement of units of measurement must be the same. So if you are given meters, you must know that 1 meter converted to centimeters will be equal to 100 centimeters. But then 100 centimeters will be equal to 1,000 millimeters. So a quick short way and a tip would be, if you are converting from meters to centimeters, simply multiply the meters by 100, then you get your centimeters. And in reverse, if you are given centimeters, you go to meters, then you must divide by 100. Similarly, to convert meters to millimeters, multiply the meters given by 1,000. But you are given, if you are to reverse, convert millimeters to meters, then you must divide the given millimeters by 1,000. Just a typo here. It's supposed to be converting from millimeters to meters. Now, here's a practical example for us to understand. Now is a typical rectangle that we have. On the one side, it's 4 units. The other side is 10 units. And by now, boys and girls, we know that a rectangle has got a pair of 2 sides that are equal. If this side is 10 units, then this must also be 10 units. If this side is 4 units, then this side must also be 4 units. So how does this help us? Then it means for us to be able to calculate the area, practically, it means because the one side is 4 units, then you're thinking of 4 squares that can cover this side. And because the other side 10, then think of dividing that into 10 of the same squares. Then you continue doing the same. Then you fill up the whole surface by covering them with all these squares. And by so doing, we are giving an idea of how many of these squares are we going to need to cover the whole area or the whole surface. The number of such squares will be the answer of the area that must be calculated. So having covered this, then we can start calculating. Oh, we're having this many, meaning the area of this rectangle would be 40 units. What is this telling us? It's telling us that to calculate the area, all you need, you must find how many square units are required to cover the surface. The shortcut thereof would be take the length and the breadth and multiply both. In our instance, we're having 4 units and 10 units as the measurements for the length, the breadth, and the length. So we are saying all you need to do is to multiply. 4 multiplied by 10 will give us 40. Remember we said earlier, because you're dealing with area, it must always be 40 square units, not just 40, but 40 square units. This, in essence, is giving us the formula of calculating the area of a rectangle, which is area will always be equal to whatever the length is multiplied by the width or multiplied by the breadth. All you need the measurement of one side multiplied by the measurement of the other side. This then will give you the area or the surface that must be covered as such. We are met up with the same thing when we dealing with a square. A square is just a cousin of a rectangle, but the difference here is whatever the one side length is, they have to be the same for the other side. So your length in this instance and your breadth are exactly the same. So all that we need to be changing. Unlike talking about length multiplied by width, with a square, we are multiplying side by side. So the area of a square would be a side length by a side length, which we write as area equal to side multiplied by side, or simply just S squared. I've thrown this for you, boys and girls, because many times when you writing a test or an exam, then you get a question like this. This is very much a grade 8 and grade 9 question. But for this, you need to have a full understanding in the picture of what exactly is given here and how can we use this to answer the question regarding the area. The question here is, we must find the area of the rectangle. The area of the rectangle. And all that we know that there seems to be another shape here and there are measurements given. Now here are some tips for you. Always ensure that you understand the parts that are making up this whole picture. If you look deeper, then you realize, oh, we're having a right-angled triangle which you've dealt with, and now also the rectangle that you've seen before. But why? The reason is, now you must realize that because it's a right-angled triangle, then we can apply Pythagorean theorem to calculate the length of this side. And if you can find the length of this side, then we have found the length of the one side of the rectangle. So all we need would be to use that new length found and multiply that by the given length, which is 3 centimeters, to find the area. That's just the tip. So in conclusion, boys and girls, this is just a quick activity for you to do at home. We'll make a recap when we meet tomorrow. Just write this down. You are given a square with side 15 centimeters. You must find the area of that square. You are given a rectangle with side length of 8 centimeters and the width is 5 centimeters. Find the area of that rectangle. Thirdly, it's about converting. Convert 2.5 meters first to centimeters and secondly to millimeters. The table that we spoke about will stand you in good state in this regard. Now, fourthly, if a rectangle is 0.8 meters by 1.2 meters, what are its dimensions in centimeters? Now you realize why you had to understand the conversion. Practically, the activity that you can use in your classroom, or even in your home, or in your room at home. Start measuring the length of the floor and the width of the floor. Agree with a partner and then start calculating what the area of the floor is. Discuss if you are to use tiles to cover the floor, how many of such you are going to need. This brings us to the end of this lesson. Thank you so much. But let me just reiterate, whenever you are calculating an area, remember, area is nothing else but the surface or the space that is covered by an object. In this instance, the object we're talking about would be a rectangle or a square. With that in mind, thank you so much, and good luck with the next lesson. Thank you so much. Bye.